in a fit of rage that the massive orc war boss Redgutz always had to make long, boring space travels to reach foes to beat, his chief Big Mech, Gigashocks, suggested to construct a giant experimental, custom quantum teleporter. This device could draw in foes into them and so would save the orc war boss the boring long treks. Having piqued his interest, and of course claiming the idea to be his own, he orders the Big Mech to begin construction immediately. Descending his fleet down on a nearby desolate, volcanic planet, the Big Mech begins to construct the enormous device, dismantling most of the orc spaceships in the process for parts. Redgut does not seem to mind, however, as he had some glorious vision of a massive battle raging across the planet, with only the strongest surviving. The teleporter soon dwarfed the orc settlement that was built around it, bigger than a stomper, bigger than a mountain. Constructing the device, however, took too long, far longer than the Big Mech promised Redgutz. Redgutz, more irate than usual, exclaimed,
"This is taking even longer than those zombie long-boring space travels for crying out loud. The wait is over. Turn the bloody teleporter on and let's get to fighting already."
Gigashocks protested.
"It ain't finished yet. Turning it on now could make bad things happen. Real bad."
Looming over the Big Mech, Redgutz made clear in no subtle way that he didn't care. Reluctantly, the Big Mech turned on the custom quantum teleporter. At first, nothing happened. The feeling of the vindictive glare of Redgutz boring in his back, the Big Mech gave the device a swift kick. With a slow, buzzing electric sound, the enormous device came to life. The electric field that was building up made every orc's hair stand on end. It even lifted a fair number of the boys off the ground. As all the orcs watched this great mechanical beast come to life, they started cheering and roaring in the anticipation of what was to come, their roars rising in tandem with the great machine. The psychic war energy generated by this enormous mob feeding the numerous weird boys wired into the behemoth and sending them into a great frenzy. Gigashocks cackling maniacally at his invention and throwing his head back and fists into the air.
"It's alive!"
A nervous pause in the collective roar came when the ground slowly began to rumble. Arcing lightning from the machine raked across the ground and through mobs of boys, charring many to a black crisp. The slow rumbling in the ground began building to minor earthquakes across the encampment. Gigashocks hurried to the machine's control panel, which alerted him that the power buildup in the machine was accelerating to uncontrollable heights. As part of the machine drew the need for its immense power from the planet's thermal core through uncountable thick tubes running into the ground. The surge of power was destabilizing the core and causing quakes across the surface. It was too late to shut it down, however. All Gigashocks could do now was stand back and watch the enormous teleporter do what it was made for. Hopefully. The rumbling increased, and the machine started glowing brighter, blinding every orc watching on. Then, suddenly it stopped, and all became eerily quiet, with only the rumbling ground going on as the surface began cracking and shifting. Gigashocks turned to Redgutz to explain he didn't know what went wrong, but before he could, a circular pulse of green arcing energy erupted from the machine, bathing everyone and everything once more in searing light. When it died down, Redgutz opened his eyes to see himself and every orc on his back ejected a good number of feet from the teleporter. Before he got up, his eyes turned towards the skies and saw it was filled all across with the burning wrecks of spaceships falling down to the planet. An insidious grin grew across his face. It had worked.